Hello and welcome back to a new Rage Gaming video, and today we've got some big news. The Sony event for the PlayStation 5 just happened literally tonight, and we have finally got the prices and release dates for the console itself, alongside a shocking amount of new trailers and information, including Demon's Souls, Final Fantasy, and finally the next God of War game, a bunch of other stuff too. Let's break it all down, because though the news is overall great, there are some downsides depending on what region you live in. Firstly, let's start with what was shown at the front of the event, the next Final Fantasy game, number 16 that is. The Awakening trailer showcases lots of that classic Final Fantasy style of story and characters, its incredible visuals, the big world, and some brief glimpses of gameplay and combat that look a little familiar now. It was a long trailer showing tons of cinematic moments and those short battles, with clearly a time skip between the lead character from the events that set him on this path and set up the stage for the story itself. To the point though, there was no release date on this, but we do know that it will release on the PlayStation 5 exclusively to begin with, as we seem to be entering a beautiful new era where games are only temporarily exclusive to a console instead of permanently. This makes sense though, because with the next gen of consoles, they're almost like mid-tier PCs, and so a lot more is possible with that. Anyway, we know that the next game is going to be very medieval in style this time, with little Joshua here and his knight, our lead character, who protects him. Good luck with that, by the way. He's actually a giant fire guy. How couldn't you see that? You could see him wearing red in the whole trailer. The main character seems to be on his own quite a lot of the trailer actually, so perhaps we'll see more of a focused style of gameplay for one unit, a solo character, rather than controlling and swapping around a party like last time. I'm sure we'll still see some sort of party combat though. It is a Final Fantasy game. With that, we only saw a few glimpses of gameplay, which as I said are familiar, as we go more into action combat style and move away from turn-based combat that we knew from the series originally. In the official PlayStation blog post about the game, the producer of FF16 said they've got another big announcement coming in regards to the game in 2021, which in that we can probably expect a release date, right? He tells us to have fun speculating, as they have a lot of plans for both Final Fantasy XVI and also Final Fantasy XIV, the MMORPG. That sounds like we'll have our next big announcement for the MMO sometime next year too. Perhaps it's to another expansion. Great news either way, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that. Okay, now let's move on to the next massive announcement, the one that came at the very end of the event. It's God of War Ragnarok, the second and next part of the ongoing 3-part series of the new style of God of War games. As we know, the original released exclusively, which was a pain, on the PlayStation 4 back in April of 2018. I, like many others, really enjoyed the masterpiece of that game. From the incredible story, taking Kratos from his Greek origins to the new land to the north, entering that Norse mythology and fighting those gods instead. All those wild twists and turns, the sheer size of what you're facing, the lore you uncover about maybe your son, it was amazing. The gameplay too, it pushed the games forward into an entirely new style. On harder difficulties, it was extremely punishing, but very rewarding, and that's what it's all about for me. Of course, we had at the end of the original game a huge link to the following game, as you know who stands in front of Kratos and his son, and we head towards the event of Ragnarok. See what I did there? Finally, we now know that the sequel will arrive next year, sometime in 2021, which is 3 years later. That sounds about right to me, so I'm praying for no delays and hopefully only a temporary exclusive to PlayStation 5 for the PC players. Time will tell though. All we got from this announcement was a good logo and a few words from Kratos.
The time draws near. You must prepare yourself.
Next up, hell yeah, it's Demon's Souls. We got some brilliant, chunky gameplay to watch instead of just some vague cinematics and glimpses, and this was a treat. The trailer opens with the Maiden in Black summoning our very dead soul to the Nexus after we died in, remember, quote, training. We get to hear that standout incantation as she does it, and god does it all look good. But for the real gameplay, we start just as we did all those years ago in the Boletarian Palace, heading through a short tutorial section that will end with our first boss fight of the game, that thick demon who's totally gonna slam spam you. Or maybe, from the looks of things, actually he'll be an interesting boss fight this time. I don't know, he is just a beginner boss, but I didn't see him do no slams. Where do I even begin with the gameplay here? We've got the smooth, new, free movement and dodging instead of stuck to that old X and Y axis back in the original Demon's Souls or Dark Souls 1. The classic brutal backstabs with that quick spine kick to get your weapon back out. One-handed and two-handed combat, free aim, target aiming. Interestingly, in the gameplay, we saw no UI at all, so I wonder what that's going to look like. And we do get to see our first Chad Knight, who gives us a real fight using combos and his shield to protect him, and we do get the first parry. It's looking good. Anyway, we eventually make it all the way up the stairs and through the fog wall to that boss, this thick boy with his heavy swings, and not a single butt slam in sight. Visually, this is incredible. They've kept the core of the game intact while improving its mechanics in subtle ways. That question for me, though, is will they make the bosses different if they have new mechanics to go with our new movement and better control of our character? But we do get a look at some of them, like the armor spider in the mines. That's going to be terrifying with the updated visuals. The Chad Tower Knight slamming his shield. But again, I don't see any archers on the sides here. We also see the red dragon where he actually sets fire to the long bridge as you force your way down it. And then we jump much later in the game where we see Flame Lurker, whose area looks totally different, by the way. Generally though, we get a good look at some of those updated animations and VFX, which look really good. I mean, just check out the spider using its disgusting oil attack and then igniting it to burn your ass. It looks awesome. Obviously, I'm really happy to see this. And I tell you what, I'm even happier to say that these assholes are actually releasing Demon's Souls as a PlayStation 5 launch title. I was right. People doubted me. They were reasonable to do so. But anyway, I made a video about the different rumors and leaks and information that suggested that Demon's Souls might actually have been in the works for years and might be announced as a launch title. As it turns out, yes, they've been working on this game for 3 years already, and it's officially launching with the PS5. So why am I calling them assholes? Isn't this awesome? It's because they didn't say anything of this sort in the trailer. It was casually announced in the official PlayStation blog, not even mentioned in the Demon's Souls blog post, by the way, but only on the official post for the actual PlayStation 5. I don't understand, man. Why did they not just say, hey, it's a PlayStation 5 launch title in the trailer, or give us a date or whatever? Strange, but hey, huge news. It's awesome. I'm hyped, let's go. Okay, for the final news, it's about the PlayStation 5 itself. We finally have that release date and the prices. Firstly, the prices for the two versions of the console. As expected, it's bang on $500 for the physical version, while the digital version is incredibly well priced for what you're going to get at $400. IGN made this great comparison image between the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 with their respective versions and what you get for both and the prices. As it stands though, you do get a ton of value on your digital PS5 compared to say the Xbox Series X for an extra $100. It does depend on what you want, right? What exclusives might matter to you, but it is undeniable that both digital versions of the consoles offer a lot for their price, so it's a good time for gaming. Then we have the release date for the PlayStation 5. This is sad news that I mentioned earlier, depending on where you live. So the release date for the PS5 is November 12th if you live in the USA, Japan, Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, or South Korea. And for the rest of us depressed plebs, myself included as a UK person, we're gonna have to wait until November 19th. That's a tragedy. I gotta wonder, why is this the case? Why are they not just doing a global launch everywhere? Obviously, I'm really salty about this because I'm someone who has to wait, and as a creator too, it puts me behind everyone else who doesn't. I'm never happy with that. Still, the digital version price is really good, and that's probably what I'll be going for more than likely. Anyway, what are your thoughts about all of this? Obviously, I'm blown away by the Demon's Souls announcement. Why didn't they just say it in the trailer? But I'm happy to hear that I'll be playing it really soon. Also, the Spider-Man game and the Harry Potter game both look really good. For now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you next time.